If you were Sag and you were Sag in your sun, but also Sag in other parts of your birth chart, your relationship with your father has a huge impact on everything that you are currently feeling, experiencing in your life right now. Relationship, career, your quality of thinking, everything. Sag and dad and having a healthy relationship here is so important to how grounded and rooted you can essentially walk into life with that energy. You have a grounded, rooted energy. And so life can hit you with lefts and rights, but you'll still be like Rocky Balboa. Adrian! Jy's op your voete, you on your feet steady. And a healthy masculine influence in an emotional capacity with your dad, in a psychological capacity with your dad. Your dad validated you through communication because you know that when you hear things, it hits home and it hits straight to your heart because you listen with your heart, Sagittarius. So when a father says, I love you, you enough, you don't got to do more than enough, you don't got to be this or that, I still love you. Hearing these words like a gardener feeding their plants with and nurturing their plants on a weekly basis, monthly basis, that's exactly what a Sag needs. Especially Sag Sun. It's going to care for your masculinity. It's going to care for how much you give energy to people. And it's going to also make sure that you don't validate your self worth in how much you give to other people and how much you climb in your career. And whether you marry rich or poor, you will always kind of connect to people in the balance of enough because your dad gave you enough. However, if there is a troubled relationship with the father, and the masculine energy has a history in the lineage. The paternal lineage has an issue already. There's addictions. Your father never had a relationship with his father, and therefore his projection of being a father with you is not great. If that is the case, I can nearly then guarantee that you are Sagittarius that goes too far. You give too much. You you go about things independently. You always fine. You keep it together, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. It's always happy times, happy times, happy times. And you don't have a support system. You don't ask. You have a support system, but you don't open up. You don't ask for help. You struggle to ask for help. You intellectualize what you go through and you keep things. And you will only be a product of this behavior because, and your stomach will be an issue, so it will be overcompensated. Whenever you see a big stomach, part of it is food diet. Another part of it that is not accounted for is how much extra you are carrying. No one thinks about that. And I'm like, yeah, that's not just diet, eh? Some of these people don't even eat much. This is inflammation. You know, like a swollen ankle? You don't say, oh, that's a fat ankle. You say that's a swollen ankle. Why? Because something hit it. Something caused, there's a blockage there. So, in the same, Sagittarius are more likely to suffer from stomach issues just because there's a reference of a missing link when it comes to the masculine energy, either in an emotional way, either you have a dad that's there but not there, and especially in what you observed your dad or the masculine energy be to your mom. That is so important as a reference of what you end up choosing because some of you don't even realize that you are choosing exact replicas in energy of your father or your paternal lineage, whether you like it or not, unconscious or conscious. Your exes are going to have traces of what your paternal lineage is. Take a moment and let that sink in and really think about patterns here. Come into my world. I'm autistic, but I'm a mystic in this autism. And I see patterns like flipping crazy, like a mad scientist. And I just noticed that every time I do a reading with a Sag, hey, my lips are dry. I do apologize. I start seeing this, hey man, your father and your ex feel like the same issue, because it feels like your ex also had a missing father element, and it feels like your father also had a missing father element. Your father was highly sensitive, just like your ex, and there's a block in communication with the father, so they struggle to communicate. There's a restlessness in their spine, which means they might be in addiction, or they're not still, they're always moving, and they don't really open up too much, or there's a little bit of a disconnect sometimes with some of the family members. But then we look at a lineage issue more than it is the person itself. And when you see those patterns show up in your partner, exact same way. Oh no, then you must start seeing the game that we're playing here and where you are attracting people from. You are the core in like energizer and magnetism of that energy because you are most familiar with it. So you choose what you're familiar with. And if you've settled in inflammation, you're going to choose people who are as equal in inflammation in either in their mental body, spiritual body, their emotional body. And then you are always going to take up in a relationship the nurturer role, the one that sees more, the one that's like the mother. Whether you even the male, you're going to mother that female partner that you're with. The idea here is that you only end up taking that role, yes, because you are Sag and there's that natural giving, sacrificial nature. But equally so, if you don't have a relationship with a masculine energy, you won't know the idea of enough. You won't know what enough is, you won't know how to set boundaries, and you will live existentially through validation of doing things for others, close to you or far from you. And then around 40, 45, 35, or maybe 55, you're going to have a crash out, a burnout. You're going to start coming into your spiritual truth and start realizing that there's more to a flippin' life. And you're going to start realizing as well that you're going to jump around from career to career because a 9 to 5 is actually not for you. And this is all as a consequence of literally whether you have a father in your life or not. That's how crazy the paternal side, and I'm just focusing on the paternal. I need a whole video for the maternal side. But go check out the rest of the series, the Sag series, and you see me kind of flesh out the complexities of how Sagittarius enjoys and goes through certain patterns as a consequence of certain things in the beginning. And it's more the predictability of the energy of Sag than it is the person. Which is why I do these boot camps, to educate you guys on the energy you're born with, especially if you're really Sagittarius, so that you can be aware of how to navigate through, as opposed to become the thing and take it personal, which is a tendency that you have because you guys are very sensitive in your hearts. So you hold on to stuff very easily, and it takes time for you to surrender. These are the two kinds of Sagittarius you end up being, and it's fascinating to see how it fleshes out as patterns. If you enter the bootcamp or into the idea of it, do sign up, send me an email. But if this relates to you, bootcamp aside, I really want you to take a moment and digest what was said, process what I'm saying, and then play that role for anyone that's Sagittarius in your life as well. Like, just understand this for them because it might help you understand a lot of what's going on in their life as a consequence of something that they never had, and they just became an identity that's all consequential, not really truly finding themselves yet. So they're sitting on their hands, they don't know their potential, which is what I find with a lot of Sagittarius, literally blind to how expanding you are. And you only really realize it the older you get. Young ones, they don't really get it. Under 35, you're still yet to come into it. The older you get, the deeper you get, the stiller you get. Yeah, no, you start realizing what potential you have. And yeah, I just like advertising it because I don't think a lot of people talk about it. I'm not an astrologer. I'm a mystic, so I read deeply energies, and I just allow you to understand yourself through Sagittarius, especially if you link to Sagittarius zodiac sign deeply. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you relate in the comment section. Share this with a Sagittarius, and I'll see you in the bootcamp.